Hello, my YouTube friends. It's me, your old buddy Magnum, and welcome to the Thursday Videography and Photography Show. Today, a lot of you have asked me to do a video about depth of field, and I've had several questions about that, so that's what we're going to do today. We are going to be shooting with the Canon 70D, and we're going to be using the 50 millimeter f1.8 lens because we have a capability with this lens to get a very wide aperture. We can go clear down to or clear up to f1.8. So we're going to be using this camera. Also, we're going to have three elements involved in the example shots that we use. The first is a green. It's called a forest green sherbet dish, I guess. My mother used to give us chocolate pudding in these occasionally, and it was a real treat. These are from back in the 50s. One other element we're going to use is a anchor. I think it's anchor hocking. This is the iris and herringbone iridescent footed tumbler. I bought a set of 4 of these for my mother for Christmas when I was about 8 or 9 years old. I think I got them at TG&Y, and it was like $2.99, I think, for the set of 4. She kept them for 50 years or more, and one Christmas, just a few years before she died, she gave us all our Christmas presents, and I opened mine, and it was the actual original box that these 4 tumblers came in. She had never used them. She told me that she was just afraid that she would chip them or break them, and she didn't want to do that. So she just kept them all these years, and I have them now in our china cabinet. Also, the third element that we're going to use is a pink Sharon depression glass sherbet or berry bowl. These are Rosie's. She collects this particular pattern, and we have a lot of different types of bowls and dishes and tumblers and salt and pepper shakers and a lot of stuff that has this pattern on it. So we're going to be using these 3 elements. So let's go into the kitchen, where you've been many times when I do my Tuesday food and cooking video. So we'll go in there, and I'll get this set up, and I'll show you how it's set up before we shoot it, and I show you the photos. So I'll meet you in the kitchen. Before I show you the 2 photographs that I'm going to use as examples of depth of field as it relates to aperture, let's go into Photoshop here, and let me show you how I set the shots up. This area here, consider that my countertop that I'm setting the elements for the shot on. So I had 3 pieces of depression glass. First of all, we had a forest green sherbet dish that was set up at a point that was approximately, I would guess 4.5 to 5 feet from my camera. And we'll just make a little camera right here. Okay, so from the focal point on the green sherbet to the camera lens was about 4.5 feet. We also have a iris and herringbone 8-inch footed tumbler. That's the gold iridescent is what it's called. That was made back in the 50s. And we probably had about maybe 10 to 12 inches from center line to center line on these. Distance difference from the camera lens. And then finally, we have a pink Sharon sherbet dish back here. And we'll make that one pink. No, it's not that pink. Okay. And it was positioned about the same distance behind the focus point as the iris and herringbone is positioned in front of the focus point. So that is how the shot was set up. So let me show you the photographs now. The first one is with the aperture closed down completely to f/22 so that we get the most distance in focus from the actual focus point toward the camera and from the focus point away from the camera. You'll notice that the iris and herringbone tumbler is much more in focus, and the Sharon sherbet dish is much more in focus in this photo than it is in the second one. The second photo, I've opened the aperture up to 1.8, and that narrows your depth of field. So you will notice that the iris and herringbone tumbler is much more out of focus, as is the pink Sharon sherbet dish. And there you have it. I hope that was helpful and explained a little bit more about depth of field than you previously knew. One thing to keep in mind is that the wider the aperture, the lower the f-stop number, the shallower your depth of field becomes. Conversely, the higher the f-stop number, the narrower your aperture is, and the wider your depth of field is. So I hope that's helpful. If you have any questions, leave them down below. Leave a comment if you've got one of those as well. And until I speak with you again, and even after that, you stay focused. Thanks for staying all the way to the end. If you like videos like this, I hope you'll subscribe by clicking that logo. After that, watch that next video that's been picked out especially for you. Or if you like videography stuff, click on that playlist.